Hello, Jen. How are you?
Hello, other Jen. I'm good. Happy Monday.
Yeah, happy Monday indeed. I was gonna say how's the week, but it's only Monday, so really,
Feels
how
like
much
a
has
week.
happened yet? Yeah, really.
There's lots of snow outside. We didn't get as clobbered as they were predicting yesterday, which was Sunday. But yeah, we're just soldiering through. This is the toughest part of the winter,
I
and you
know.
just gotta kind of hang in there and just keep your spirits up and stay healthy. And notice that the days are getting longer, which I literally notice every single day. I'm like, oh, there's another couple of minutes.
Yep, it was 5:13 yesterday because who's tracking?
Who's
Not me.
tracking?
It's
Sounds
like,
like you live for this too, Jen.
you know how I am. Yes, I
Yeah.
absolutely do. So I'm happy that we are closer to spring than we are winter, unless we have someone saying good morning from Melbourne. And in that case, they are in the middle of the summer. So probably closer to fall
It's
than to
true.
summer. So that's kind of a bummer, but excellent. So we have, let's bring Jessica into this
Oh,
conversation
yes.
today. So we have Jessica Robinson with us today. Jess, how are you?
Hey, Jess.
Good, good. How are you?
Very good, very good. So you're in New York as well. So we all got similarly clobbered with the last couple of
Mhm.
snowstorms. So that's been fun. But
So
we're
beautiful yesterday to watch it. Oh my goodness.
It
It
was
got
so
so
pretty.
fast. Yeah,
That was really pretty.
it's
yeah.
pretty until you have to bust out the shovel. And
That's
That is
true.
true. And then break your back, but we're not talking about that.
That is true. Yes. Thankfully I do not have to do that. So, but yes, for people that do, that's hard.
yeah, I'm not leaving my house until Wednesday, I've decided. So I'm not going to deal with the snow until then. Anyway.
Yeah.
So let's just start the conversation, Jessica, with just because we have the title here of leading a consciously secure life, which I know might be like, what does that mean? So why don't we just hear like a little bit about what you do, and then we'll just kind of go from there.
Okay. So I'm a cybersecurity expert with a different approach. I work with CEOs and C-level leaders and helping them to protect the money that they make and also help them to better protect the data and trust it to safeguard. And one of the things that I say is that for me, cybersecurity is love. And in leading with that and talking about that, part of that also means in thinking about what it means to be safe, not simply from a digital security standpoint or physical security standpoint, but what does it mean to be safe emotionally, psychologically, and spiritually? And so when we think about what does it mean to lead a consciously secure life, it's really understanding that at any given moment that we could be creating a safe space for ourselves or for somebody else. It also means that at any given moment, we have the ability to make choices that help us to have a consciously more secure life. So that means making sure that when we are signing into our favorite social media platform, that we have strong passwords or that we have the privacy and security settings set that we want to use. It could mean that when we're logging into our bank, that we're making sure that we have all of the extra security features set if we're doing online banking. It could mean that for every application that we use or any website that we're logging into, if it allows for multi-factor or two-factor authentication, that we're using it. And that these are habits within our life. And so, in that we are living the consciously secure life by just including these habits into our everyday life. And also that we're not just doing that for ourselves, but we're helping our families and our friends and our coworkers to be safe too by helping to remind them to do the same thing as well. And so that's what it means to live a consciously secure life. And one of the things I want to say is, because sometimes people say, oh, you can live a life that's so secure and it's so safe and you're not taking risks. And what I would say is that's not this at all. There are certain risks that we always want to take, right? That we just to have fun and to live a great life. But then there are certain things that we want to do just because it's just a great habit to develop. Because, when we're living in 2021, we know that it's as simple as clicking on a link that could download malware onto our laptop and could impact our data or could impact our laptop, kind of forcing us to either purchase a new one or spend money or waste time on doing something that we don't need to do. It also means, though, that by doing this, I always encourage people, and the people that I work with, I call consciously secure leaders. These are individuals that value security, they value inclusion, that they lead with the heart, and they understand that risk is important on some level, but you never risk professional growth. You never never at the expense of professional growth, personal growth, or soul growth do we not continue to push limits because of security. And so, or because we're being security adverse. And so, again, this isn't about saying that we're not going to do things and go out and have fun. It's actually the opposite. It's about ensuring that we're living the life of freedom that we want and deserve.
You've said so much already. So.
You also call this a feminine approach, and you say energetically defined, not gender. So what do you mean by that? Like fundamentally, like it seems to me you're reframing security in such a great way that I think makes it really enticing to protect yourself, right? Out of love, which is such a radical reframe. I mean, you never put those two things together. So, and it's love of self, it's love of your own freedom, maintaining that, protecting that, love of, others, safety and freedom. So I love it. So what is the feminine piece? How would you define that? Because I'm intrigued.
Yeah, so I would say the feminine approach to security versus a masculine approach to security, and we're talking about energies because we have feminine and masculine energies within all of us, is that we're really focused on being committed versus compliance. We're really focused on supporting the people that we work with or the people that we're surrounding ourselves by. We're really focused on looking at different approaches to solve a concern. We're not coming in as an authority going, it has to be done this way because either A, I say so, or because this is the best way to do it. And that could be just really a best way to do it. But it's going in curious to go, how can we find a solution that really works best for everyone and also meets any kind of requirement that we have in place that needs to be met? And it's also looking and really understanding that digital security is important. And yes, physical security is important, but so is emotional security, psychological security, and spiritual security. And in the workforce and in our world, human beings continue to be the biggest and weakest link. So it's the humans that are continuing to click on different links or downloading data, accidentally sending data to people outside the organization where it shouldn't be sent to, all of these things. And so when we are dealing with human beings and all the multiplicities that brings with it, we need to think about security in multiple and different ways and not just in a binary perspective, and that this is all that matters. And so the feminine approach allows for all of this to coexist together and for human beings also to be fully acknowledged for all that they are, but also to acknowledge and understand that security is a basic human need. And the moment that we're in a major situation, whether you're a soldier on the battlefield or whether you're an executive that is literally leading your team through a cyber breach, that your emotions are high, tensions are high, and how you conduct yourself is also, and how you lead your team is going to gravely and deeply impact the results of that situation that you're in. And so we need to be thinking about, from a human security standpoint, the emotional, psychological, and spiritual aspects just as much as we look at the digital security, cybersecurity, and the physical security aspects.
Oh my God. I feel like my brain immediately is going into, like, how do I develop the good habits that are going to protect me? Because I feel like as a, small business owner, team of 6, there's a lot of opportunities that I think to not have the right processes in place that kind of put everybody on the team at risk, or even the clients that you work with at risk. So, like when you're thinking about, talking to somebody who maybe they have terrible habits to begin with. I personally feel like we have good habits, but say it's somebody that just has terrible habits and they have the same password for everything. They're not using, some kind of system to create those, very long, crazy passwords that you can't actually replicate even if you try to memorize. What are the, and what is it, like 21 days to build a habit, or longer than that to build a habit? So like what's something, if someone's watching this, that they're, a small business owner themselves, and they're like, oh crap, like I got 50 different fires to put out this week. How can I even possibly prioritize making this a more secure organization? Like what would just a small step be potentially?
So the very first thing I'm going to say is admit that there's a problem, right? Like in any situation, admit that this needs to happen. Like admit that there needs to be change. Because I think there's still so many leaders out there that don't admit that. They can be having breaches, but they don't want to admit that there's actually a problem that needs to be solved. Because when they do, that means they have to think about the time that needs to go into it. They need to think about the money that needs to go into it. And that alone could be something people just do not want to look at. Like, they just don't want to look at it. So honestly, you have to acknowledge it. Acknowledge that there's something that needs to change. And then I would say just pick 1 or 2 things, 3 if you want to be ambitious. And just stick to those and be great at it. Be bulletproof in it is what I would say. Or I should say hacker-proof in those areas. That's probably the best way to say it. Bulletproof would be for like a physical security, but since we're talking for more cybersecurity, be hacker-proof in those areas. And by that, what I mean is, yes, to your point, Jen, if you want to, if you know that you don't have the best passwords, then use a password manager. Commit to a password manager. I would recommend LastPass or 1Password. And develop really strong passwords. You can create 32 character passwords that are alphanumeric, meaning they use uppercase, lowercase, they use symbols, they use numbers, and you can just do that. And then you can make sure that you use it for all of your applications. You can have a business one, you can have you can use it for business and personal if you have a smaller company. And that's something I would definitely recommend. Another thing, maybe if you're going to choose something else, you can make sure that all of the applications that you use, that you have multi-factor authentication enabled. So basically what that means is going into your security or privacy settings, and there's an option for 2-factor or multi-factor authentication. You just want to check it. What's probably going to happen is they're going to ask you for like your phone number or your password. So that means that whenever you log in or someone logs in, they're going to send a notice to your phone if you put in your phone number, and then they'll send you a 6-digit code so that you can actually log in as an additional feature for security. So that helps ensure that if anyone's ever logging into your account, you will always know about it. And then if there's a third thing, you would want to do something like a virtual private network. So use a VPN to help make sure that your internet connection is secure. Now, it's always a great thing to do, but if you're using CyberGhost or ExpressVPN, any one of these, things to keep in mind when doing that is if you're using a video streaming service for any reason, you may have to disable your VPN in order to watch those services. And also, you may just have a point where sometimes your systems lock up. And then if that happens, you just may want to check and see if your VPN is on. And if it is, you may need to turn it on and off. So it's one of those problem solving things that we've learned that we always want to make sure that I personally just want to make sure I share with people about using a VPN, because sometimes it can be frustrating if you use a VPN consistently. But it's important to know. But all of these things, and they're just 3 things, but these things can help tremendously in helping people to be safer.
I love that. Jenn, what's rattling around in your mind right now?
I'm sure like everybody's reviewing my security protocols and also thinking about how I get annoyed with the 2-factor authentication that I have set up, right? So I have my better angels when it comes to my security practices, and then my lazy self.
So, but that's totally normal. It's totally
normal. But the thing is, like, we can all be hacked, and then the sort of defense against that, there was really there was a New York Times article, I think, did you read that, about an entire family who was hacked by this one person? It was, I'm looking for the name of the article, but it was a long read, extremely well researched. It was last weekend, I think, or within the last week. But it was terrifying. I mean, this whole family was, what's the word? What is the right word for?
Cyber stalking?
Yeah, but it was like worse than stalking. It was their reputations were destroyed online.
Oh, okay.
And then they were extorted by the company allegedly that would fix it up for them. And so like you sort of start to question like, who did this in order to get paid back to fix it? So anyway, it was really an alarming story that just made me realize like this could happen to any of us at any time. And like the hygiene, like of the passwords on Zoom, like the fact that we got really smart about Zoom bombing. I don't know if that's still happening, but I know Zoom got better at it. Did our practices also get better in terms of understanding how to use each technology in a way that protects our events? I don't know. But
we got Zoom bombed last week.
Did you?
Last Wednesday.
Oh, that's horrible.
That yeah. I've been on a show where we were Zoom bombed, and so I know how challenging that can be. So yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those things where you want to continue. And this is a part of what it means to live a consciously secure life. That if you do something one day, it doesn't mean that it won't happen the other day. We have to ensure that we're doing that we have consistent habits every day. And sometimes even when we have consistent habits, something still happens, and that's where the challenge is. But that's also part of security. I mean, this is part of what happens, in that sometimes people may slip through the cracks, or there may be a situation where you may have security enabled, but maybe a Zumba may happen. And so, but it's always then being able to go back and do what's called an after action review to find out exactly what happened, what really happened here. How do we ensure it doesn't happen again? I don't know if you ladies heard of the SolarWinds attack that took place. It was this big attack that took, or it became public in December. And with that, there was the hacker. Now, this was a nation state, so out of Russia. And so these are extremely sophisticated hackers, some of the best in the world. They were able to bypass the malware in order to be able to get into this particular application. And so someone asked me, was there even a point in having malware? And I said, of course there is. I mean, these are the best hackers in the world, some of them, and for them to be able to bypass malware, I mean, the best hackers are going to continue to push ways, right, to be able to move past different security features that are there. And then the best protectors or defenders are going to continue to develop the best malware in order to defend against it. And so there's this constant battle going back and forth in regards to this. But for most people, the malware that we have will work just fine. And so it's just developing those habits. But it also is a lesson that, all it takes is one time, for us, for something to happen, and it can have a big impact.
Yeah. What are your thoughts about the cloud in terms of how all of this kind of plays together? Because I know, like myself included, like we have everything is in the cloud. And so I have things strategically synced to different computers and whatnot. But I personally, because I am a bit extreme in my organization, as most people know. And so on every 6 months or so, I will back up our cloud onto an external drive, and then that goes into a fireproof, waterproof safe. So that way the files are accessible, because again, I recognize I'm extreme, but the security of the cloud in general, though, that I feel like is kind of unsettling sometimes when you think about it.
Well, I think that when it comes to the cloud, a lot of it has to do with how the users are using it. And also, and if you're using a public cloud, one that your company is, using, like Google or something like that from another company, we want to make sure that as much as possible that we're enabling all security features. So if that means that we can ensure that it's encrypted, or that we use our package to a level where it supports encryption, we want to ensure that particularly authentication is strong. So again, that we have strong passwords, that we're using VPN, that we're updating our passwords on a regular basis, or we're using a password manager. I find that those are the biggest areas of concern when it comes to the cloud. And someone could, sometimes you hear about celebrities, photos that were in the cloud that got out. So part of that is who was able to get access to that, who maybe on a device was able to gain access to the device of an individual, and was able to maybe gain access to the cloud because maybe the cloud, the application or the cloud was just open on the device, and there wasn't a security measure in place that didn't allow for a kind of a barrier before someone just clicked on that app. And so a lot of it is about how we use it and the different features that we enable. No, don't get me wrong. I mean, it's very easy and it's very simple, right? I mean, that part of the way that we work and live today is it's just be able to open an app and go into it and not have to authenticate, right? But sometimes, depending on what it is that we're trying to secure and what it is that we do want to secure, trying to and making it a point to authenticate every time can be a good thing to do.
That I feel like that makes sense. I think about my the mobile banking that I have. Those always have to be you have to have your, like, at least on my iPhone, it's your Face
Yeah.
ID or whatever. But then like the yoga app, like, does it really matter if someone gets
Right.
into the yoga app? Probably not, but like maybe,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's a really great point. And the point that you're bringing up is not everything is created equal, right? All data is not created equal. All apps are not created equal. We don't value them the same in terms of privacy and security. So it's a really great point. And so part of this is also prioritizing, what is really most important for you that you want to protect. And really start there too. That's probably one of the key things that people can do. And again, it may just be starting with 5. Just pick 5 apps or 5 websites that you're using that are like, these are the most important apps that have to ensure that security is great here. And then go ahead and do it. And then maybe, who knows, maybe in 2022 you'll get another 5. You'll focus on those. But you really want to make sure that that whatever's most important to you, that you're really securing those apps. So
I have one more question. Jen, I'm totally monopolizing.
Go ahead.
So, and I don't want to say her name out loud. I refer to her as my robot bride because I have a couple of them in my house, and I don't want to say her name because then they're all going to go off. I'm sure you know who I'm speaking of. So, like, what's the security of, like the home devices, whether it's the Amazon one or the Google one? Like, what's like that? I'm confident there's got to be some kind of security issues around. Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, so you definitely want to ensure that that the devices that you're using within your home. So whether it is these robot devices that you're talking about, whether it's your refrigerator, your microwave, your stove, any of these Internet of Things devices, you do want to ensure that they're as secure as possible as well. So there's something called the shared responsibility model, where we can expect that the manufacturer who developed these tools to ensure that they're safe, but the moment we purchase them and bring them onto our home network, we have to make sure that they're safe too. So I'd recommend that there's at least 2 networks within the home, one for however the person and the family there is connecting for work and maybe for school, all of that. And then have another network where maybe you would connect your Internet of Things devices. So you would have all of these other devices that are there. And then you can ensure that they have different passwords, that you're using them for different purposes, and that really they're as secure as they possibly can be. And if each of these individual devices, if they require their own passwords, then provide their own passwords. You probably maybe have an app on your phone or on your laptop that you're using to maybe connect anyway. And so ensure that each one of those are secure is really important. And I've talked to some people that have like 60 something different, Internet of Things devices in their home. I mean, they're really smart homes. And if that's the case, if you have a lot, then get 2 different networks for those, or 3 different networks, and then have that separate network for work and for school and all of that. But that's one of the best ways that you're going to be able to increase the security of the use of these devices.
Such a great idea. Oh my God, I love it.
Wow. So interesting. And there was something I saw on my iPhone, Jessica, at some point that said, and I don't know how to retrace my steps to find it, but it said, here are some of the passwords that you have been compromised that you need to reset.
Interesting. Okay.
Have you ever seen anything like that just the average consumer can just say, oh my goodness, I didn't realize there was a breach at one of my credit card companies, but I know I saw it. I wasn't dreaming. I just don't know what it was.
Interesting. Well, there are different websites you can go to see if, like, you can go to I have been pawned, PAWNED.com, to put in an email address to see if you have had if that email address has been impacted in any way. So you can go there.
Okay.
It's possible that what you saw was there's also a website that tracks all of the passwords that have been hacked. And so any password that's at least 6 characters right now have been hacked, all the 6 character passwords, but this is going to increase. And so over the next couple of years, all of the 8 character passwords would have been hacked by now. And so that's why it's important to have a long character password, because you can almost ensure that that password is going to be safe, because the shorter the password, the higher the possibility that it's already been hacked. Which means it's going to be easier for an attacker to try to break into one of your accounts. So it's possible that you saw something related to that. And so yeah.
Wow, thank you. This is so practical.
And this is why, Jen, I feel like we have many benefits for doing these, but I feel like this is just a great example of like how personally beneficial it is talking to awesome people who know awesome things, but then also everyone who's watching us just pepper Jessica with an assortment of questions. Like, everyone else can go check these things out too. And while you were just talking, I pulled up the haveibeenpawned.com and I just put in my personal Gmail that no one really knows. And it actually shows me 6 different websites where it was that were the source of the compromise and what specifically was compromised.
Wow.
How awesome is that? So now I can be like, all right, I need to go and change those passwords.
Yes.
Right. Yep.
Like that's
exactly
so awesome. I have I don't know what, a legal shield, I think it's called.
Yeah.
It's like $10 a month, and it gives you, your credit score once a quarter, but or monthly. And then it also kind of goes in and says, like I have like a sex offender alert, for example, that it's like new sex offenders registered in your neighborhood, or your email's been compromised. And so that comes up, but it doesn't give you the level of detail that like the site did in like 3 seconds of just looking at it. So
wow.
It's really cool.
I actually think I just found what I was saying in settings. In settings under passwords.
Okay.
I have something called security recommendations here with a big red thing on it saying detect compromised passwords.
Oh, okay.
So it's telling me I have 48 alerts.
Wow. Okay, so yeah,
probably should not be saying
awesome.
This on this call.
So that's great. You know what? That's that sounds like a password manager, actually.
Yeah.
So and so that could be your password manager, because that's what a password manager would do. So maybe do you have an Android, or is that your?
I have an iPhone.
You have an iPhone. So what that may be is it may be related to if it's a keychain or something, or some password manager that maybe is on there, and that's what it could be telling you. So what that hit may be is to increase your passwords, increase the length of your passwords, and to make them stronger. So definitely want to do that. Yeah.
How many do you have?
Mine has 18.
Okay.
But you know what? If you scroll down, it says mine has 18 under the other recommendations, and it says compromised password, easily guessed password, reused. And then it kind of goes through, so you can see at a really quick glance. Like I can see that like 16 of these stupid apps I barely use the same password because I don't care about them. And clearly that's not good, because if you use, and I use LastPass to encrypt all of my passwords for anything important. So I couldn't get into my own accounts without LastPass, thankfully. And even with LastPass, because I don't trust, like, what if I lost the password to that? So I have that like written down in a very secure location where one other human knows that it exists. But yeah, this is fast. 32 security.
Okay, so I'm not so bad.
Not much different than you've done. And I thought I was doing good, but this clearly shows up.
You always lord that over me, so I'm glad I'm not.
Yeah, this is fascinating, though. Oh, I'm going to go down this rabbit hole.
You are.
Yeah. No, definitely. So those are some great indicators. So yeah, I do see where you mean on your phone. So on the phone, because I'm in that area too. I don't have a lot there, probably because I use a different password manager. So I don't see a lot listed, but I think that being able to just lengthening those passwords. The great thing is you don't have to remember all of them. You could just kind of set these passwords, and they can be 32 characters, and you can just allow that password manager, like 1Password or LastPass, to just connect for you.
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
So good.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
This has been such a good conversation. Very, very tactic focused after a few high level things. But I feel like for those who have watched or currently watching or will watch, I think there's such greatness to just even these very basic tips. So I feel like I'm sure furthering your mission, Jessica, of helping people live that more consciously secure life. And sometimes it's knowing that you have 32 and 48 issues on your phone.
Yeah.
Now we have to fix it.
So that's the point. It's acknowledging it, right? And then it's like, now you know what to do, and it's great. And there's nothing wrong with that. You just move forward from where we are. Wherever we are is always great, and then we just move.
Thank you. Thank you for your compassion.
I think I'm going to get myself a cocktail this evening and sit and finagle with my phone for a while, because it's unsettling to know that there's potential risks, but Yeah. Wow. This has been so good, Jessica. Thank you for coming. I know it took us a
you.
while to finally schedule this, so I'm thrilled that you were here today. And
I'm thrilled as well. Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, I'm honored. It's an honor to be here with you both. So thank you.
yeah, do you want to let folks know where they can find you and learn more about you and hire you if they need you? You've clearly proven very, very beneficial just in this last 30 minutes.
Yes, definitely. I mean, please come to www.the-purepoint.com. You can also feel free to email me at jessica@purepoint-international.com. That's kind of a long email address, but purepoint-international.com. And I'm always happy to connect and talk with people. So I'm always ready for a discussion around security in any respect, whether it's emotional, psychological, spiritual, digital, or physical.
Thanks.
Well said.
Thank you so much. This was great.
Thank
Jen,
you.
we will be back at some point in the coming week or
Yes,
so.
for the next amazing person. You
Yeah.
have, amazing people. Thanks so much, Jen. This was fabulous. You and I are going to need to hold each other accountable.
Yeah, I'm on it.
Okay.
I'm on it. And now I got to go down the rabbit hole of setting up a second network. So it's going to be
Oh my God, the VPN.
It's gonna be a whole thing.
Of course.
But then I'll report back how I did it. And
I
then,
would love to know how it's going.
Yeah.
And I'm with you guys. We're all accountability buddies here, so I'm happy to join that with you. So
yes, I need the accountability on that one.
yeah.
Excellent.
And
Thank you.
support and help. I would say
Please
support us and help. So if I can help in any way, let me know.
Yes.
Awesome. Yes,
you,
you're the
Jessica.
best. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Well, with that, may we all pay attention to our security as a form of love this week.
That's
Self-love
right.
and
Exactly.
love
Form
of
of
others.
self-love. That's right. Self-love.
Oh my God, I love it.
Self-care.
Awesome.
Yes, self-care.
All right. I will talk to you both very soon.